In the quiet town of Ashbrook, nestled between rolling hills and flowering meadows, lived a warm-hearted woman named Eleanor Wright. At 76, Eleanor had retired from her long career as a librarian, and while she no longer alphabetized shelves or recommended novels to eager readers, she remained a thoughtful, curious woman with a strong sense of routine. Her days were simple but fulfilling. Mornings in the garden, afternoons with a good book, and evenings marked by cozy dinners at precisely 6 p.m. Eleanor had always believed she led a healthy life. She ate sensibly, took her medications on time, and stayed socially active. But it wasn't until she witnessed a string of unsettling events around her that she began to realize the importance of not just how she ate, but what she did after eating. These revelations would reshape not only her own life, but the lives of many around her. It began one summer evening, during a gathering of her beloved book club. Among the guests was Harold Benson, an 81-year-old retired professor known for his booming laugh and passion for poetry. After finishing a hearty dinner of baked salmon, roasted potatoes, and sautéed greens, Harold, feeling pleasantly full, stretched his arms and announced that he was going to rest on the couch. "You ladies carry on with the discussion," he said with a smile. "I'll just close my eyes for a bit." He fell asleep within minutes, the soft murmur of conversation lulling him into a deep slumber. But just 2 days later, Eleanor received distressing news. Harold had been hospitalized with aspiration pneumonia. Acid from his stomach had risen while he was lying down, and a portion of it had made its way into his lungs. His daughter explained that the doctors believed his after-meal nap triggered a dangerous case of reflux that led to inflammation in his lungs. "They said if we hadn't brought him in when we did," she added tearfully, "he might not have made it." The incident sent a chill through Eleanor. She had often done the same, reclining on the sofa after a good meal, letting her body sink into the cushions. But Harold's experience revealed a harsh truth. Lying down immediately after eating could have serious consequences. For older adults, it raised the risk of acid reflux, aspiration, and in severe cases, life-threatening conditions like pneumonia or even suffocation during sleep. Eleanor vowed then and there to never lie down directly after eating again. Only a few weeks later, another close friend, Arthur Collins, a cheerful 79-year-old who loved gardening and singing old jazz tunes, suffered a major stroke. Arthur had a comforting ritual. After dinner, he would take a long, hot shower to relax before bed. That evening was no different. He had just finished a bowl of beef stew and mashed potatoes, then stepped into the bathroom. Minutes later, his wife Jeanette found him collapsed on the floor, unconscious and unresponsive. At the hospital, doctors confirmed it was a stroke. They explained that hot showers after meals can redirect blood flow from the brain and heart to the skin, causing a sudden drop in blood pressure. For seniors, this imbalance can lead to fainting, heart attacks, or strokes. Arthur survived, but was left partially paralyzed on his left side. Eleanor was stunned. These were people she had known for years, suddenly struck down by what had seemed like harmless routines. She realized that their bodies, though full of memories and strength, were no longer as resilient as they once were. The seemingly small decisions made after meals could either support or sabotage their health. Then came the story of Calvin Jenkins, the 72-year-old brother-in-law of Eleanor's longtime friend Mary. Calvin was a retired veteran, proud of his strength and energy. One evening, after enjoying a large lasagna dinner with his wife, Calvin decided to carry a box of heavy books up 3 flights of stairs to their attic. Despite his wife's warnings, he insisted he was fine. Minutes later, she heard a thud. Calvin had collapsed, his chest tightening in pain. At the hospital, tests revealed he had suffered a heart attack and that 30% of his heart muscle had been damaged. His doctor explained that digestion requires significant blood flow and energy. Adding physical exertion, especially heavy lifting or stair climbing, immediately after eating places an overwhelming burden on the heart. Calvin had unknowingly overtaxed his system. Eleanor couldn't ignore the pattern. One friend struck by acid reflux while napping, another paralyzed by a stroke after showering, and another whose heart failed under the strain of post-meal exertion. These weren't accidents. They were warnings. Determined to protect her own well-being, Eleanor began researching safe habits for the period after meals, especially for people her age. What she discovered was both simple and empowering. She learned that small, deliberate actions after eating could enhance digestion, protect the heart and brain, and even extend one's life. Her first change was straightforward. She began sitting upright for at least 30 minutes after every meal. No more lounging on the couch. Instead, she'd sit in a straight-back chair by the window, sipping warm tea and watching the birds in her garden. This helped her digestion immensely. She no longer experienced the bloating and heaviness she used to feel after dinner. Gravity, it turned out, was a powerful ally in keeping stomach acid where it belonged. Next, she shifted her drink of choice. Gone were the cold sodas and icy lemon water. Eleanor began drinking warm beverages, especially ginger tea or barley tea, about 10 to 15 minutes after eating. She learned that cold drinks could slow down digestion, causing food to linger in the stomach longer and increasing the risk of reflux. Warm drinks, on the other hand, soothed the digestive tract and encouraged smoother digestion. The warmth also brought her a calming sense of comfort, especially during the colder months. But perhaps her favorite new habit was something beautifully human, light conversation after meals. Instead of rushing to clear the dishes or retreating to a reading chair, Eleanor stayed at the table, lingering with friends or calling family. These gentle, cheerful conversations helped reduce stress and fostered a sense of connection. Talking, laughing, and sharing stories with others after eating seemed to support her digestion and uplift her spirits. On days when she dined alone, she would call her daughter or an old friend, even if just for a short chat. The emotional benefit was undeniable. About 30 minutes after finishing her meal, Eleanor would go for a gentle walk around her yard or down the block. This light exercise, she found, helped regulate her blood sugar, improved circulation, and left her feeling refreshed rather than sluggish. It wasn't strenuous, just a slow stroll under the trees or among the flowers, but it made a noticeable difference in how she felt through the evening. Sometimes, she invited her neighbor Jeanette to join her, and their post-meal walks became a cherished ritual. With the changing seasons, Eleanor also learned to adjust her routines accordingly. During the summer months, she avoided sitting directly under the air conditioner or fan after eating, and she was careful not to drink anything ice-cold. Sudden temperature changes could shock the system and slow digestion. In the winter, she made sure to stay warm after meals, wearing a cozy shawl and delaying any outdoor activity until her body had settled. She learned never to rush out into the cold immediately after eating, especially when alone. Being mindful of her circumstances, Eleanor developed a new rule. Whenever she ate a meal alone, she would call a family member afterward just to check in. She'd talk about what she ate, how she was feeling, and sometimes even read a poem or two over the phone. This habit not only provided emotional connection, but also acted as a safety measure in case she ever felt unwell. Eleanor's approach to food also became more mindful. She embraced the principle of eating until she was 80% full, avoiding the temptation to overindulge. She chewed each bite thoroughly, about 20 times, allowing her body to better absorb nutrients and communicate fullness. Her meals became slower, more intentional, and more enjoyable. She prioritized vegetables, legumes, and whole grains, gradually moving away from white rice, white bread, and processed foods. She learned to read food labels and to understand which ingredients supported her health. She also consulted with her doctor to make sure she was taking medications at the right times, especially those related to digestion or blood pressure. Over time, these small, thoughtful changes transformed Eleanor's life. She felt lighter, more energized, and more in control of her body. But perhaps more importantly, she felt empowered. The stories of Harold, Arthur, and Calvin had once filled her with fear, but now they served as reminders that knowledge and small habits could truly save lives. One sunny afternoon, Eleanor was invited to speak at the Ashbrook Senior Center. The room was filled with gray-haired friends, curious newcomers, and attentive caregivers. With warmth in her voice, Eleanor shared everything she had learned, not just about what to eat, but what to do after eating. She told Harold's story of reflux and pneumonia, Arthur's tale of the post-dinner hot shower and stroke, and Calvin's tragic heart attack after heavy lifting. She spoke gently but clearly, urging her listeners to take these lessons seriously. Then, she shared her 4 golden rules. Sit upright after meals, drink warm tea, have gentle conversations, and go for a slow walk after 30 minutes. Sometimes, she said, it's not the big changes that save us, it's the little ones. A warm cup of tea, a 10-minute chat, a slow walk at dusk. These things matter. The room was quiet, thoughtful. Many nodded. A few dabbed at their eyes. Eleanor finished with a final thought. We spend our lives caring for others. Now it's time we care for ourselves, with kindness, patience, and wisdom. Share these habits with your loved ones. Let's protect one another, one meal at a time. From that day on, Eleanor became a quiet health ambassador in her community. Friends would call to ask what kind of tea she recommended. Neighbors would invite her for gentle walks. And during every meal, someone, somewhere in Ashbrook, remembered her words and chose to sit a little straighter, breathe a little deeper, and live a little longer. If this story touched your heart or taught you something new, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Share this video with your parents, grandparents, or anyone who might benefit from these gentle yet life-saving habits. Leave a comment below. Have you or someone you know experienced something similar? We'd love to hear your story. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more helpful tips, true stories, and advice for healthier, happier golden years. Together, let's spread knowledge that protects our loved ones, one meal, one habit, one story at a time.